I was just set on getting a deal. The only way I could do it was seller financing. So I just went over all the, Realtor.com, Zillow, all that. Funny enough, I found a duplex on Craigslist, out of all places, and I messaged the person. I said, "Hey, do you want to sell your duplex, seller financing?" Luckily, he said yes.
You're listening to the Real FI Podcast, where we discuss time-tested tricks, techniques, and strategies for pursuing financial independence today, so that we can enjoy a better tomorrow. Financial independence isn't about getting rich quick. It's about cultivating a foundation to grow financially, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Let's figure out how to kick the 9 to 5. Here are your hosts, Patrick and James.
How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to the Real FI Podcast. My name's Patrick McGrath, and my co-host here is James Rippion.
How's it going, everybody? Good to have you back.
So today we got a great guest, Evan. I think he's going to bring a lot to the table. So Evan, how's it going out there?
Oh, it's doing great. Thank you for inviting me. I'm super excited.
Great. Well, so as you guys know, the goal of the podcast is really to talk about financial independence and people on their journey to that. So James, why don't you go ahead and get us started today with talking to Evan?
Yeah. How's it going, Evan? Good to have you here, man. We're excited to jump into it. When we get into these conversations, it's always useful to have some context of the background of where people kind of came up, how they got started. And it sounds like from getting to talk to you a little bit earlier that you have an interesting story from where you kind of got started with your financial independence journey. So let's take this conversation all the way back to your college days and kind of where you got started with that at that time period.
Yeah, so I growing up, I played basketball, so I got the privilege to play in college. And my freshman year, I got to meet this guy. His name's Greg Andrade, and he was actually a senior when I was a senior in high school. So we didn't get to play together, but he actually he was on the team at Central Connecticut State. And while we were playing there, I went there for my first year, and after playing there, everything like that, I decided to transfer after my first year, but I still kept in touch with him, followed him on social media. And at that point, I was in between majors, didn't know what to do. And he put up a story one day, and it was of his 3-unit apartment that he just bought. And he was house hacking it, renting out the rest, saying that he was living for free, harped on bigger pockets, rich dad, poor dad, all that. And it just clicked. And I was like, wow, I want to do that. And I don't know if he knows this, if he even knows this. I'll have to send this to him afterwards. But yeah, he's definitely the reason. I just attacked him with questions, gave me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, read that, Bigger Pockets, went on that. So once I got to my second college, which was in Erie, Pennsylvania, I was just set on getting a deal. The only way I could do it was seller financing. So I just went over all the, Realtor.com, Zillow, all that. Funny enough, I found a duplex on Craigslist, out of all places, and I messaged the person. I said, "Hey, do you want to sell your duplex, seller financing?" Luckily, he said yes, with closing costs and everything. Erie, Pennsylvania is just the houses there are very affordable. So it was a duplex for I bought it for $65,000. Seller financing, had to put $6,500 down. I had $6,700 in my bank account, and it was very nerve wracking, but it ended up working out, and it kind of led us to, my wife and I, that is, to be more comfortable, and we moved back to Maryland. Actually, bought a 4-unit and house hacked that. So confidence for that.
Did you and your wife buy that? Or I don't know if she was your wife then, but did you and her buy that property together at that time, or was that one just you?
Well, we were dating at the time, and she was with me every step of the way. So I used my money, but yes, she was part of it the whole time. So
okay,
yeah.
And was she on board, or did she think you were crazy?
She was crazy, especially since I only had $200 after closing, so that was very hectic for us, but we got through it. Everything seemed to work out. The first month, actually, the one of the tenants didn't pay me, and it was looking very south. But We got in there. We maxed out a couple credit cards. We got everything rented, stabilized, got new tenants in there, and it started cash flowing about $500, about $250 a door, and we were able to pay off the credit cards and get cash flow. And that was honestly a turning point to realizing that real estate is very powerful. So.
Well, it sounds like you definitely had your ramen college experience with that first property, and that's awesome. I mean, you hear a lot of people making big sacrifices to get into their first deal, and it sounds like you pulled out the works. I mean, $200 left over in your checking account. You had the credit card. You had to convince the significant other that you weren't going to bankrupt your guys' futures. So it sounds like you really pulled out all the stops to make this one happen.
Yeah, honestly, at the time, scary as anything, but I'm the type person who jumps out of the plane and then builds his parachute. So I had to learn that way. And that's just how I am. And luckily it worked out. And for us, I mean, now our lives has changed because of real estate investing. Just off of right now, we ended up selling that duplex, but we have a 4-unit now. And that's honestly changing our lives right now. So.
That's great. That's great. And I love the fact that you went out and were able to get seller financing on your first deal. I mean, everybody seems to think that seller financing is the elusive golden nugget that you can never find, like who's going to do that? And you went out and you got seller financing at 10% down with no closing costs basically, and made it happen. So, I mean, to everyone out there who thinks that, you can't get it done and you need a ton of money, that's a perfect example of just using your blood, sweat, and tears and finding something and making it work. So I think that's great.
I want to point out that it was possible because Evan asked, and you don't know if it's available unless you ask. So every time I'm working with clients, I put that on the table. It doesn't hurt to ask, especially if it's in this market, if it's property that's been sitting on the market for an extended period of time, you might have a motivated seller. And that might be something that they'll be willing to give up if they have a good position of equity. So I think that's an important thing to recognize is be comfortable asking for that.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to add is, it wasn't like that was the first deal I found and it ended up working out like that. I've been probably talking to about 40 people before getting to this person. And it took me probably about 4 or 5 months of just constantly just like reaching out to people, scouring the internet. And, when you put in the work, you get lucky. So that's exactly what happened.
So how did you learn how to do the technical side of the seller financing deal? Did you have somebody that was helping you through that process? Were you working with an agent? Was it just you, or did you have an attorney, or did you just go online and kind of figure it out yourself?
Yep. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos, actually went to the Bigger Pockets, asked on the forums, and was able to get like pretty much a clear detail on how to actually structure the seller financing deal. Also, luckily for me, the seller was willing to help me. He had other investments that he wanted to focus on. And this one, I think he could tell that I was just young, eager, wanted to get my first property. And I think that he liked that about me. So he actually, we went through his title company, no agents involved. And and he was every step of the way telling me, hey, you should do this, you should get insurance, you should do all this. So luckily I had that for me.
So you gave me a great why.
Yeah.
Why you should sell to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I basically, like I said, I told him that I was eager to get into real estate. I played for the university basketball, and I told him that, look, I'm not going to let this thing fail. I had a side business at the time doing wedding videography, and I kind of just, laid it all out there saying that, look, this isn't going to fail. You're going to get your money every month. And luckily he believed in me.
So take us past that first duplex and kind of talk to us a little bit about, what you did after that and kind of where your financial path progressed from there.
Yeah, so we actually moved back during the pandemic. That is my wife and I, were fiance at the time. We moved back to Maryland, where I grew up on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And we actually lived with my parents for about 6 months as we started our job. She's an occupational therapist, and I got my real estate license. and I'm a real estate agent. I didn't do it because I thought it would help me in investments. I did it because I truly love real estate, and that's what I wanted to do, is sell real estate. But it has helped extremely with whether just knowing the terms, contracts, talking to people, just networking. And it definitely has helped me a ton. But so we were working, I mean, we were trying to find a deal for a while. My wife wanted a single family house, but I just said, give me a couple of months and I'm going to find something. So after sending out hundreds and hundreds of mailers, everything, nothing, no one got back to me. So I decided to just drive for dollars, go around neighborhoods. And there's this one community where I knew there was a 4-unit that I liked from seeing it a couple of years prior. I went by and there's a for rent sign in it. And I drove by, I called the number and I said, hey, I see that you have it for rent. Would you consider selling? And he said, yes. And I was like, really? I was shocked. I was like, are you serious? And he said, yes. Let's talk, let's meet in person. We met in person. He kind of told me what he wanted. Luckily we got this thing. We purchased it at $430 and the rents at the time were $4,400. And right now they're at $5,900. So it turned out to be in our best interest. He just didn't take care of the place, mismanaged, and now we have it with property management. We felt most comfortable with that while living here, not having to deal with the tenants. It's worked out great for us. And now we have a 4-unit that's cash flowing unbelievably. We bought it with FHA, 3.5% down. We refied after 7 months. We weren't able to cash out refi, but it did appraise high enough so that we could just refi into conventional, and then got a HELOC as well on that. So
awesome. So you're currently in the position of maybe looking for your next deal after that 4-unit and taking that down. Or do you think you're going to try to do a similar thing, trying to find something off market?
Yeah, so we're going to try to do it off market, especially in the market we're in today. It's unbelievable. But there are a couple opportunities around here. I've sent out a ton of mailers. We both have, and we've gotten back. Just nothing really sticks. We're not going to go buy a bad deal just to have a property. But at the same time, we actually decided to expand our horizons and invest closer to my wife's area, which she grew up in Cincinnati. And we're going to start looking in Northern Kentucky. We've been talking to agents, and right now we're going to look for another potential house hack or just a single family home that we can live in it for a couple of years, fix it up, and then rent it when we get done. And then we're also going to look at the same time for a multifamily in Northern Kentucky. So we got two properties we're in the market for right now.
That's great. That's really great. And not only is your story just really great on how you went out and just did everything, but I've heard Brandon Turner and David Green say 1,000 times over their 500 plus episodes, if you see a for rent sign, just call and ask. And you're driving for dollars, sending out mailers, doing everything, and you decided to pick up the phone and just do what they said, and you got yourself a deal. You found something that had the value there and have been able to make it a great opportunity. And I think with that, I would really like to know kind of where that deal has kind of put you on your financial independence journey, and kind of give us an idea where you're at now and what your plan is on building. I know you kind of touched based on Kentucky and Cincinnati, but give us an idea of what the next 3 years look like, kind of where you're at now and where you're looking to be.
Yeah, so we set a clear goal for each other for our investing goals and financial independence. And basically by 28, we would like to be at 50 units. And that is, that's not just going out there and buying units. We have a specific criteria. We want at least 250 per door of cash flow after reserves, maintenance. And then also we want at least a 15% cash on cash return. We're not going to turn down something if it needs improvements. We like the value add better, obviously. So that's kind of our goals and our criteria. And right now it's put us in a position, this house hack, we're living in it right now. I'm in it right now. And we're netting probably it's about $900 a month in cash flow that we're just saving. So everything that we're making from our jobs is pure putting it away and getting ready to invest it. So for the past, I'd say 6 months after the renovations and turning everything over, we've just been keeping everything. We just got married, so we did have an expense with that. But other than that, it's put us in a great position and a better position than any other situation if we went to buy just a single family house or anything like that. So it really has put us in a great position. I'd highly recommend it. And when we go and tell people what we're doing, every single time, 90% of the time, they'll say, I wish I did that. So it's really good to hear that after doing it and going through what we did. So
Exactly. And the only thing holding you back is not getting started in the first place. And we think you're definitely taking the steps in the right direction. Tell us a little bit about your goal and the specifics behind it. You have 50 doors by 2028, 250 a door. How'd you come up with that number? Is there something meaningful behind that that you used to get there? Or is it just something that you felt might be an amount to provide a comfortable living?
Yeah, so basically where I came up with that is I wanted to push myself, to do the best I can. And same with my wife. And we thought that 50 units was an attainable goal, but as well as that, we thought it was a very hard goal as well. So if we aim for that and we fall short, and let's say we get to 30 doors, that's still going to be a huge accomplishment for us. So it's always about pushing ourselves. And even if we fall short, we're still ahead of where we were. I'll say Brandon Turner says it all the time, David Green as well. When you write things down, your goals, that you're better off accomplishing them. So we write down our goals, we go through them daily, and yeah, that's kind of what we're sticking to right now. We're super excited about it, and I think expanding our markets to Northern Kentucky to a little bit more affordable, landlord-friendly state, we're going to be able to get that done. So
I think and you're hitting on a lot of these points, so I'm going to bring it up. With anyone's personal finance journey, there's a lot of roadblocks and speed bumps that you could come across. Most of the time, just in finding the right deals or finding money to fund those deals. But a lot of times it's with your significant other and your partner in that respect. Can you talk a little bit about how you work to get on the same page with your wife, and maybe some of the things that you guys do on a consistent basis to review your personal finances and your goals, and how you kind of work to keep on the same path moving forward and on the same page?
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't easy at all getting started. Just so everyone knows, I grew up in a frugal family. It was me, my mom, and my brother, and we lived in a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. And I think that upbringing and seeing my mom work hard, to support us when she'd be, we'd have a hot dinner and she'd be eating leftover cereal. I think it just taught my brother and I, who pretty much our work ethic and our grind for that. And my wife as well. She grew up in a frugal family. So going out and investing when we bought our first duplex, it was 21 years old. So when we went out and bought that, we didn't even tell any of our family. Obviously, it was very difficult to get past. We talked about it for a long time, but I basically just begged my wife to give me a chance. And if it doesn't work, then we don't have to do it. But if it does, you'll see exactly what real estate can do for us. And I would say that the first investment, the duplex, really helped my wife consider doing a house hack, because she was able to see how much money we were bringing in. She got to see the numbers of, look, after all our expenses, we're still making $500-600 on this duplex. Imagine, and that was at $65,000. Imagine what we could do on this 4-unit, this $430,000. And luckily, I was right. And she's now understanding it. So after the proof of concept, she's really getting into it, and she's actually going to become a real estate agent here shortly because of our investments and because she's actually taking interest to it as well. So it's been awesome, and we're just learning and growing together. Obviously, we're not going to do anything extremely risky right now, but as long as we talk through it, it makes sense. The numbers make sense, and she can see everything. She's game for it. So, do
you guys go over your goals? I know you said you write them down daily. do you guys review them on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis? And, you know, how have they changed over the last year with, you know, the house hack?
Exactly. Yeah. So we what we do is usually this is the first year we started to do it because we thought it was extremely important. But we did just a beginning of the year just goal setting dinner, and all we did is just went over what we wanted to accomplish, and we reviewed it at 6 months. And basically our one goal was to pretty much turn over this property and make sure everything was good on this. And then we had another our other main goals. We usually stick to about 3 or 4 main goals, and then the steps that we need to take in order to get them, because we don't want to put too many goals on our plate and be all over the place. So in terms of this, it has changed because we just got married. We did want to go house hack again to do a 3 to 4 unit house hack. But since we just got married and we're thinking about family and short-term goals right now, we actually are considering now, you know, the best of both worlds, find a place that's, you know, a little bit out of shape, and we can go in there, fix it up, move out in about 3 to 5 years and rent that out. Hopefully the market keeps going as it is and it increases, but we're just taking calculated risks right now, and on a single family. And then, like I said, our goal was to have 8 units by the end of this year, but it looks like we're going to have probably closer to 5 or 7.
So you made a couple comments that are making me bring this up. You're in it. You're a real estate agent. You're seeing the market. You're watching real estate come and go on a daily basis. Your wife's thinking about becoming an agent herself. Tell us what you think about this market right now. As we're recording this, it's mid-October 2021. Things, at least from my perspective, have been different from what I've seen in the past. But why don't you tell us kind of what you're seeing and maybe what you think the trends are going to be?
Yeah. So honestly, I just listened to a podcast, the Bigger Pockets podcast, and David Green hinted on this as well. And honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards what he said, which is basically that with all the money circulating right now, and you know, businesses are doing really well, I think it's only going to be harder and harder to buy real estate. And I don't. It may correct. It may, you know, yeah, it may correct, but I don't think it's going to be dropping anytime soon. The market is unbelievable right now. It has slowed down a little bit, but still, if a decently priced home comes on the market, is going to go in the first 2-3 days. So I have seen it slow down just a little bit, but at the same time, there's not much on the market. So I think that has something to do with it.
I'm a real estate agent myself as well. And I feel myself having 2 different conversations depending on who I'm talking to. One's to the investor. Another conversation is to the first-time home buyer or the single family, you know, live-in home buyer. Because with the investor, you're taking a long-term perspective, hopefully, but with the investor, you're almost dollar cost averaging into your real estate experience. So it makes these short-term market cycles seem almost less relevant, because hopefully, you know, you're not going to just buy one house and be done with it. You're going to be buying one a year till you can start buying 2 to multifamily to scaling up. So are you having, first of all, do you work with investors or mostly with single family, and are you having those kind of conversations with them?
So yeah, so I'm working mainly with my my one investor is actually an old basketball coach of mine. We found him an off-market duplex in Easton on the Eastern Shore here. He got into that, and that's right. It was a total gut, 4-bedroom, 2-bath each side. It was a 4,000 square foot duplex, and right when he bought it, 2 months after, is when the lumber prices just shot up. So he went over budget probably about 75 to 100 grand, but it still worked out because of the inflation and everything going on with this market. So so when talking with him, we're still trying to find properties that work. And as far as him and his worries or anything like that, he is still at it, and he's not scared at all. Real estate over 10-year periods always goes up. So as long as you buy something, as long as you don't buy it crazy overpriced, it usually turns out fine.
And I think right now that the difference between the retail investor or the retail, home buyer and the investor is really kind of taking the emotion out of it. I think us as investors, we look at the bones and kind of see the potential of a property. We don't get emotionally attached because we're looking at it based on the numbers. And I think, I think right now we're seeing that there was a frenzy last year with the pandemic and everything else, and people wanting to move out into the country and all of that, people were jumping at the first thing. There was 20-30 offers on every house, and right now, I mean, I can tell that it's slowed down because we have a property on the market right now, that's been on the market for like 2 weeks. It's priced right, and we've had a couple showings, but we sold 2 other houses back in January, and they had multiple offers the first day, on the market. So I think that's kind of where that's at right now. But I've also noticed that multifamilies, the price per unit has increased significantly. I mean, a year and a half ago, we were able to pick up a couple deals at, 70 to 75,000 a unit. And now everything we're looking at is $95 to $120,000 a unit with below market rents and needs work. So even the investors that have been holding onto their properties for 20 years now think that they can get, single family pricing on their, duplexes and triplexes. So everybody thinks that the market's going up, and there's a disconnect there, I think, with the investor side of people who are selling. And I think that's going to tame down some. But also, I don't really think that with the supply and the demand of the housing market right now, I don't foresee us having a significant drop in the market.
I definitely tend to agree with you too. I think one of the biggest considerations I pay attention to is how much money is just being pumped into our economy. And, I think you're seeing rich valuations in a lot of assets, stocks, real estate, bonds, crypto, everything is going through the roof. But, when it comes down to investing, I think that you guys have hinted at this. It comes down to buying smart, and doing that can manage risk. So.
Perfect. Well, we'll get on here to the next one. So we've kind of went over your financial goals, where you're at, your journey up until this point. So, looking at that next 3 years of getting that single family, the next house, possibly moving out of state and starting a family, what do you see is going to be the biggest obstacle for you to overcome to get to your goal with all that, whether it's time, funding, all of that, to get to that 50 units? What do you see as your biggest challenge?
I think just off of who I am and how I think, and obviously I only have a 4 unit as of right now, but how I feel towards it is that I have a hard time using private lending when I shouldn't at all. I really need to take the step and actually use it, especially with a value add opportunity. So that alone is something that I'm gonna struggle with. And then also investing out of state. This has been a huge step for us. Not something we would do. We would rather build our empire around here, but with the prices and everything, it just makes more sense to go to a different area. And we really wanted to target Northern Kentucky. So moving forward, it would probably just be finding off-market deals in other states where it makes sense, and raising capital or partnering. So
those two are exactly where I'm at as well. I think private money, it feels really weird talking to someone and asking them to invest tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars But the good part is you have proof of concept. You've done 2 deals that have been successful. The market, you're an agent, so you do have that credibility. And I'm in the same boat right now, thinking about doing out of state in investing, because I've sent out mailers and everything else in the area that I'm at, and I just haven't been able to get to that next deal. So those are 2 things that I'm trying to overcome as well. So I think we can chat offline about different ways to make that happen. So, and then let's see here. We're gonna have to edit this part out.
All good. All good.
I was hoping James was gonna go down to the big picture item.
All right, hey, we're going to the big picture now. We're going to keep it nice and informal. We can have bloopers in the podcast. It's fine. So,
Exactly.
I was
Still
trying to come
figuring
up
things out.
with a name for this part. Other podcasts have fun, cool names for the last thing. But we're just going to knock this out and see what happens. We're going to call it the big picture. So what do you say to the person that is starting their financial journey? Like, what is the one thing that they need to do to get started to get themselves off of square one?
So the thing that I would say to them is live how others won't now, so you can live how others can't later. And that's something I've first seen that quote. Me and my wife saw it together, and it was a light bulb that clicked, and we were like, exactly right. It was right mid of renovating our 4-unit, and we were running the struggles. We had to turn over, evict people, and literally that quote got us through, because it's going to pay off in the end. You just have to sacrifice now. So I think sacrifice is a huge bit of real estate investing, especially when you come, not from a lot of money, when you don't have a ton of money to invest and or knowledge. So I think that's definitely something I would say to them.
That's literally my favorite quote ever. I've heard a different iteration of it. The one I just wrote it down: do what others won't today so you can do what they cannot tomorrow. It's the same exact thing. It's all about sacrificing your immediate gratification. And that's why all 3 of us are on this call right now, because we see the benefit to that. We see the benefit to having patience and doing this real estate game and investing in your financial future. And I think that you and your wife can connect over that is super valuable. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
exactly. I love that one too. So that's perfect, because I was really hoping you were going to go with something along those lines, but didn't really have an idea where that was going. So I love that. Kind of going with the same theme. I know you've already mentioned a book before, but has there been any books, podcasts, resources, anything besides Bigger Pocket or Rich Dad Poor Dad, because you've already mentioned those 2, that have kind of really shaped your real estate journey or your financial independence mind, that you think other people would maybe benefit from?
Yeah, I think, I listen to a ton of podcasts, the Real Estate Guys being one of them. And I listen to a ton of those, but I think honestly, the biggest thing for me that I found the most value out of is actually networking and talking to other people that are either a couple steps ahead of me, way ahead of me, or even people right at my level. And you know what, I can always get value from people that, less than 4 units as well. So I'm still kind of new at this, but networking has been huge. Patrick, I know we met up and that was a great experience. Just being able to see, look, like there's 2 people that are doing it right now. And it gave my wife and I, huge confidence since to get to the level that you and your wife are at right now. So networking, I would say, is just huge. But the book that did get me started was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I'm also brushing up right now on the David Green's Out of State Investing book right now, because we're going to try and do that. So
great books.
Yeah.
I've read both of them. And I actually just listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad again about a month ago, just because it is such a good one. I think once you read that, if your life doesn't change or your thought process doesn't change, it's never going to.
Yeah, you're dense at that point.
Exactly.
You can't be helped.
Exactly.
And we also touched on this last one a little bit, but we'll have another stab at it. Maybe you can give us a little slightly different answer. Other than having 50 units by 2028, where are you going to be on your financial independence journey in 5 years? how's this going to change as you're moving towards those goals?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're always going to live below our means for the most part. We don't want to live a luxurious lifestyle. We just want to have time. And that's the biggest thing, honestly, for us as we start our family. We both are extremely huge family people. And like I said, growing up with just my mom and my brother, it taught us really close-knit how to be a family. So my biggest thing is that I just want to be there for my kids, and whenever they have, not have to miss anything out of their lives, so I can have the passive income to miss a big meeting in real estate if I need it, and just have that time freedom.
You'd be really surprised, but I think a lot of people out there think people that are real estate investors and people that are going towards financial freedom are really money focused. And almost everyone that I talk to that's in the space all value time way more than money, but realize that money is going to be the asset that is able to buy back their time. And that's so important. And I think once people are really in the game and understand that, it becomes a huge thing. I think that's what we're all vying for is our time. And that's wonderful.
I think a true test of what somebody's in it for would be to ask them, would you rather switch places with Warren Buffett or be who you are now, a younger person?
Exactly.
Would you rather just have that money, or do you want the time to be 20 years old with your life to look forward to?
Exactly.
So that's exactly it right there. Well, Evan, it was great talking to you, man. Where can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out and kind of connect with you on your life journey in real estate and financial independence?
Yeah, my wife and I just started Instagram at chasing_rentals. And we're going to be posting a lot of things from there. Right now, we just have our 4-unit on there. But as we buy and grow, we're going to be we're going to be growing our Instagram, hopefully, and putting a lot more up there. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to be like the rental property couple. So
yeah, they put out some good stuff every now and then.
Yeah.
Hey, we try. Well, everybody go ahead and give Evan and his wife a follow. It sounds like they got some great stuff coming down the pipeline in the next year, if not sooner. And follow me, Rental Property Couple, James.
And you can give me a James_Ripion. And it sounds like I need a cooler Instagram handle to get people directed to, but we'll figure that out later. You can give me a James_Ripion.
There you go. Everybody, appreciate the time, and we will talk to you next time.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Real FI podcast, where you learn from the investors that have lived the hard lessons for you. To connect with us during your pursuit of financial independence, be sure to join our community by following us on Instagram or emailing us at info@therealfi.com. If this content made you financially, mentally, physically, or spiritually richer, please make sure to leave us a positive review on your preferred content